Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and we're here on another Tuesday night to talk about all things Ravens, the most important team in the NFL, your Baltimore Ravens, and we're excited to talk about it because Glenn, there was if you look at the what is it called, the seismic meter or whatever, there was a little bit of an earthquake at the castle today. Old Ben Cleveland showed up and signed his contract. But every time I see him walking past the camera, that man, if you had like your house or my parents' house where it's a split level. So there's usually always someone upstairs or downstairs. I'd hate to be downstairs when Ben is upstairs, like making breakfast, right?
You better not be trying to sleep.
Oh my gosh. But man, I tell you what, but I'm excited though about the rookies being in. They all got in today. So that's kind of where I want to start. So we got all these rookies. Let's talk about some expectations for these guys, Glenn. Oh, and I also want to say I'm back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome back, Jimbo. After you
can you tell I got a little bit of sun?
Yeah, you looking good. Looking good, man. Congratulations. Did you have a good time? Was Ocean City good to you?
It was good. My job was a little bit more stressful than I anticipated, so it kind of cut into my vacation time more than I wanted it to. But it is what it is, right?
Yeah, gotta do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he's not talking about this job, obviously.
No.
This is no job. This is no job.
This is a privilege and a pleasure.
That's right. Absolutely. Shout out to Prince Quan. Thanks for coming out. Trend Killer. Appreciate you coming out. Lisa Ann, happy belated birthday. Hope that Chinese food tasted wonderful.
Ooh, chocolate cake.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that. I'm not mad about some chocolate cake. But yeah, I wanted to, first of all, not every rookie is signed yet. I mean, does it matter? I saw Brandon Stevens showed up to camp today. He's participating. What are the ramifications if there were, say, the God forbid happens, if there's an injury to him today? What type of because I'm surprised he's participating. Is he going to be able to ultimately participate in camp if he doesn't sign? I'm not sure the rules there.
Yeah, I'm not 100% clear either, but I think that he gets his deal done. I mean, he's a third rounder. It's pretty slated. I'm curious to know what the reasoning is behind it. I'm almost certain that it has more to do with logistics, schedules, and things like that. Other than like actual contract negotiation, because there's really not too much negotiating.
Not slotted. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not too concerned about it. I don't think he is either. So yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about it.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I just think it's interesting. Like, it's like, what's the negotiation down to? I'm sure it's some, tiny detail in the contract. And yeah, just curious as to why. And also, like, I saw him showing up. Is there any limitations once the rest of the guys get there? But speaking of that, I wanted to quickly, before we get into the rookie expectation, I want to quickly go through the upcoming calendar and just let everybody know what's going on in Raven world. So today marks the arrival of rookies to begin their training camp session. They're gonna have their physicals and all that stuff today. Get ready to go. Then Tuesday, the rest of the team arrives. So they'll have 90-man roster during camp, ready to battle it out for these positions to ultimately get down to 53. But before we get there, we got some important dates. Of course, the weekend of August 12th through the 16th is the first preseason games league-wide. And then August 17th, you see the first of the cut downs. And it's August 17th Eastern time before 4 o'clock. Teams got to get down to 85. So just 5 getting dropped off the roster at that point. Then they have the second preseason game weekend, 19th through 23rd. And then August 24th before 4 o'clock, they're going to cut down to 80. So another 5 players have to be cut off the team after the second preseason game. And then they have the third preseason game, the third and final preseason game, because there's only 3 this year, between August 29th or August 26th and 29th. And then August 31st, that's the big one. That's where they got to go from 80 down to 53 before 4 o'clock, and also decide who they're putting on IR, the PUP list, and non-injury related lists, anything like that. All has to be determined and decided upon by 4 o'clock on the 31st. So I just want to get that out there so everybody knows what the schedule's looking like coming up. It's going to be a tough decision-making process for the Ravens front office, no doubt.
Yeah, and we'll be certain we'll do a few we did our way too early 53-man prediction. We'll have a couple renditions of that. So certainly we'll, as camp starts, we'll do another one, and then as the first cut downs happen, we'll do another one, all in hopes of getting it perfect.
We're going to get a perfect score. There's no doubt about it. We're going to knock this one out of the park. No, we probably won't. But I'm going to try really, really hard to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. But the other thing I wanted to mention, aside from that, was, oh geez, it just blew my mind. It just left my mind. I forgot
Talking about the rookies.
Oh my gosh, I'm having a senior moment, and I cannot remember
a senior moment.
Anyway, let's get right to the rookies then, because I forgot what I was going to mention. But like you said, Glenn, there's really only one rookie left who is not signed. You know what it was the presence of DK. I look down, I see DK, and
DK's in here.
I'm all startled. I'm like, what's going on here? And I lost my train of thought. So
it's DK's fault.
DK. No, I'm totally kidding. And now he's gone.
Look, you hurt his feelings. My goodness.
No, but I really want to talk about. Let's just go down the list. Now that we've gotten closer to camp, and camp is here, the guys are here. I want to talk about our expectations for these guys. So, where do you sit as far as expectations go? We talked about projections over under, but as realistically, unbiasedly as you can, assess what your expectations are for Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, I was just reading I think on one of the social media, I can't remember which one. They were talking about the biggest improvements the Ravens made, and this particular article pointed to the talent added to the receiver core. And of course, if Rashad Bateman's not the centerpiece, he's certainly right behind Sammy Watkins, if you want to tell me he is. But he's certainly a big part of that rebuild and that restructure of the wide receiver core. And he ultimately might turn himself into the number one receiver by year's end. It's really going to be kind of a good transition and a fun thing to watch for Bateman, because I'm unsure of what his role is going to be. Like, how similar is his role going to be in the beginning of the year to where it's going to ultimately end at the end of the year? Because I think this guy is so polished as far as, typical receivers coming out of the league. I'm not so sure he's going to have that typical transition where it's slow and a build up like we see a lot of guys. We might see a similar transition like we saw with Hollywood, where he immediately made a name for himself week one, despite the fact that he had no practice time dealing with the foot injury. Well, Bateman doesn't have that. I mean, he's had some nicks here and there that kept him out of some of the previous OTAs, but nothing, to the extent of what Hollywood was dealing with. But I'm starting to think that he might have a quicker transition than a lot of guys, because of the fact that he's so, polished offensively. He's already, such a talented route runner. And then I can imagine what these young coaches have been able to do with him since they've gotten their hands on him. And also, I've seen him pretty much in every one of these posts. When I see Mark Andrews, Hollywood, any of these guys, he tends to be in the photograph with them. So it's obvious he's putting the work in away from the facility as well. So I'm starting to think he might have a quicker impact on this offense than I was originally anticipating.
Yeah, I have to say that it's very Glenn fashion to come around to my line of thinking. Yeah. It's normally how it goes. No, I'm totally kidding. But yeah, I do project that by the end of the season, he will be our true number one. Not the beginning, but certainly by the end. I was nervous about him coming in. I mean, confident but nervous. Now I feel super confident. Just watching his confidence when he walks, when he talks, the way he handles himself, and then watching his route running. He's polished, like you said. He can catch with his hands, not his arms. He can go up and get it. He can use his body. Man, he sure looks good. I want to see how things go when the pads are on and things are full speed. But yeah, I'm really, really excited about Rashad Bateman. And my expectations are sky high for this kid. Other than the fact that there's one football to go around, he has all the potential in the world to be our most productive rookie receiver, other than the fact that we're just deep there right now. But if we were so reliant on him like we were Hollywood's rookie year, his numbers could have ended up being even better. So I'm really excited about him. I don't know what else to say other than He carries himself a lot like, I've said it before, like Kawhi Leonard. And I like that. He's all about that action, right? He's not about the talk. He's not about the show. He's really, really about football and the action and the work. And I hope it stays that way. So my expectations are really high. Now, what about the next guy?
Let's talk about the next guy, because we've getting some interesting comments lately, because you stepped out on a little bit of a branch on, what is it, 3 weeks ago now, when you said that if Odafe Oweh gets to double-digit sacks, you are eating your microphone cover. Yep. It is clearly not – it's not food. It's not edible. It's not something you should ever ingest.
I don't know how this is going to pass.
Maybe not the – look, here's the thing. I was immediately like rooting heavily now for Oweh to get to there. Not that I already wasn't, but certainly now it's gone to a next level. I want to see you eat that thing. But there's people in our comments that are, I think, getting a little concerned and or maybe just doesn't want to see you go through that.
Right.
Are you trying to, like, if we extend the olive branch, would you want to walk back the bold claim that you seem like there's no chance Odafe gets to 10 if you're willing to eat the foam cover?
Well, let me ask this. Can I, of course I'm not, Glenn. Of course I'm not. All right. No concerns. Look, I want him to do it. I want to eat this. As crazy as that sounds, put some barbecue on it, some Cholula on it, get some slices of avocado on it. You know what I mean? Cut it up in small pieces, turn it into like an avocado toast. I can handle that, but I just don't see it. I just don't. And not that I don't ever see it from him. I don't see it year one. I think he is going to be – I don't think we have the depth at the position where he's going to get so much attention because who's a formidable threat on the other side? Tyus Bowser? Like Mr. More interceptions than sacks?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't think that we have the horses to think about where Cleveland is in comparison to us when it comes to edge guys.
Not even in the same atmosphere.
Think of where Pittsburgh is with the pickup of Melvin Ingram and now TJ Watt.
Yeah, that pissed me off.
And we got Odafe Oweh.
Among others, but
who else is like list worthy, right? Like inside the Ravens, they're list worthy folks, but like nationally speaking.
Yeah. There's not a lot to talk about.
Even if we get Justin Houston, I don't see us comparing.
Well, at least he got a name then.
That's true. But what I mean is that it's not, I don't think it would do enough to take attention off of Odafe to where he gets the opportunities to get 10 sacks.
Right. Okay. That's a good point because he's going to be getting the attention with that athleticism, especially if he starts to put together some games. If he has a sack or two in the one of the first games, and then they're going to start noticing him, and they're going to absolutely give him some more attention. And it'll be up to Wink to move him around, continue giving him different looks, and sometimes use that attention against the opponent. Certainly, and open up some things for other guys. But yeah, I agree with you in the sense that, man, those edge rushers around this division, man. Oh, they got a lot. They definitely got better. Now, we were never the biggest Ingram guys. Right. We saw that he would be a natural, fit like schematically and stuff like that. But so many injuries lately. We've been worried about, if they can keep a guy like him healthy at the price tag he's going to command. But a 1-year deal for Pittsburgh, I thought that was a smart signing, and I hope that it doesn't, end up, costing the Ravens a game, or who knows how it works out. But if he's healthy, he's definitely a guy that can make a difference with TJ Watt opposite him. But we're here to talk about the rookies.
But the other thing I just want to say is that we will be doing it live. Britt House asked if we will be doing the microphone.
For certain.
Yeah.
Oh, for certain.
But if I barf live, it's your fault. There's a really good chance I could just gag it.
Look, that's good. Just go off camera at least.
I'll have a bucket right next to me, but you'll hear it all. Don't you?
Don't mute it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have the gain all the way up on the microphone. You're gonna be able to hear it all, baby. All the chews and but I'm really not concerned. My expectations for Odafe are that his season will end strong, and that he could make some big plays down the stretch, but it won't start that way. So I think that he will make serious progression as a player, but I don't think he has the talent around him, at least, edge rusher wise. to get those numbers. But I think he ends well, and I think at the end of the season we'll be happy with his play.
Okay. I mean, I think he's going to have a good year. 10 sacks is a lot for a rookie. He does have the extra game, and he does have Wink Martindale, who will literally blitz anyone. And you have to be aware of that as an offensive coordinator. You can't just continuously put a tight end or running back to chip and help on Odafe. So there's going to be times where Odafe is certainly going to have plenty of one-on-one opportunities, and he just has to make the most of them and beat the guy in front of him. And we'll see if he can do it. But moving on to your favorite, Ben Baltimore or Ben Cleveland, however you want to call him. Old Big Country, 6'6", 343 is what they have him listed on the site I'm currently looking at.
Ran a
4.85, Jimbo. He's beating me in a foot race, no doubt about it.
I think I honestly, that 4.85 is really fast.
Dude, for a guy that size is ridiculously fast.
Yeah. I mean, so he might beat me in a 40. 4.85?
Let's not get crazy. Jimmy Rascal can get up.
Dude, 4.85 though is fast. I don't know if I can run that right now.
Yeah, people see these numbers, these 4.4s, and they forget just how fast a 4.8 is. Like
that's in real life. I mean, to do a sub 5, you are a fast human.
And he's 6'6", 350 doing a sub 5.
Yeah,
comfortably under under 5. So what I mean, it's funny because it seems like his expectations continue to grow despite the fact that he hasn't played a down yet.
They certainly are in my book.
It's like every time we get on here, we're like, he's a Pro Bowler. Now he's already
look, he's a Pro Bowl alternate. That's my expectations. Pro Bowl alternate.
Man.
Right there.
Okay. So you like this guy that much. No concerns at left guard.
But this is why I think opposite to Odafe, he will benefit greatly from the talent around him. He's got an all-pro right next to him. Mm-hmm. I mean, Ronnie Stanley, best in the business at left tackle when he's healthy, and Lamar's at quarterback. Those are two. So, and then right on his right-hand side, he's got a former All-American, a seasoned vet in Bradley Bozeman, who just spent 3 years, right, at the position at left guard, 2, 3, whatever it's been for Bozeman at this point. And then he's got the 2 wily vets on the other side. So as a unit, I think they're really going to carry this guy and let him do nothing but be instinctual and be physical, right? Like don't widen his scope too much. Don't make him think too much. Just road grade, like move bodies, be physical. Just like our guy Brooks mentioned, if you're talking, not lateral, but vertical movement, there's not too many guys better at moving bodies vertically. And I think he's going to do one heck of a job. So I think he will benefit from the guys next to him. I think he'll push for a borderline Pro Bowl spot.
Yeah, not just surrounded by good, like talented guys, but also just good guys who are more than willing. Bradley Bozeman seems like the nicest guy, like just the absolute nicest guy. To have him next to you, who's just got done playing a heck of a good left guard for his, came in as a rookie, similar thing, took over and played his first year and has never looked back. Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's set up for a really, really high amount of success as long as those guys around him stay healthy. But I think the same can be said for pretty much every offensive line in the league. That health is a big factor to their success. But we move on to Brandon Stevens, and I see this.
Wait, what are your expectations?
No, I agree with you. I mean, there's nothing more I can say. I mean, I think Ben Cleveland, he's in line for a big rookie year. I mean, it helps that he's going to the best team I think you could imagine playing for as an offensive lineman. There's no doubt about that. There's built-in advantages of where he is, but even without that, I mean, the guy just looks, and I mean, he's just a physical specimen with the athleticism, the mindset. I mean, it's hard to pick on anything you wouldn't like other than, people talk about his movement and his ability to get down the field. A 4.8, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm blown away by that number. So I'll take my chances and see what he can do moving down the field.
Certainly.
But I'm more concerned about what he can do pushing those big boys in the trenches, and I think he'll be fine there. But Brandon Stevens, we talked about him not signing his contract yet, and I'm still confused as to where this guy fits in defensively. And this is kind of the big one for me. We talked a lot about the other guys. Haven't talked a ton about Brandon Stevens because I think we're just unsure about what his role is going to be. I mean, is he a corner? Is he a safety? Is he doing both? where do you see Brandon Stephens trying to fit in? Like, what role is he filling? We all know that special teams is going to be a big role, but on the defensive side of the ball, I'm confused as to what his role is going to be. When you look around, we got guys. Where's he fitting in, Jimbo?
Yeah, it's a really interesting one for me. I feel like I wish I could answer your question, but this year I think it's more of a special teams thing. I think he's going to, get his feet wet in practice, continue to transition to safety, because I think that him and Ardarius are the next wave after Deshaun and Chuck. Now, I'm not saying that either of those guys are on the way out the door, because Eric DeCosta said that Chuck is the heart and soul of this defense. But I think that Brandon Stephens, my expectations are really only to see him show up on the stat sheet when it comes to special teams. I know he's a third rounder, and we lean heavily on third rounders, but he's definitely not playing corner unless we have an insane amount of injuries. And I don't see him as safety either, once again, unless we have a serious rash of injuries. So I don't know where else he could make an impact. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, it's so tough. He transferred to SMU to transition to corner in 2019. This is so new to him. We talked about Odafe being new to football, and certainly Stephens has been around football, but he was playing running back. This is really the second year he's been a corner, and he's playing in the AFC North. It's insane to think about the adjustment he's had to go through, but at the same time, successful. He had 10 pass breakups, which led his conference last year. So it's not like he hasn't done it. Yeah, exactly. Cakes Mitchell picked up my Ravens Chiefs tickets last week. See y'all there. Let's go.
That's right.
Cakes, I better hear the boo birds coming out when them Chiefs. Boo! Especially when big old crybaby comes out. That's right. I didn't let it go yet, people. When I see that big old baby coming out, and he's pumping now, boo, boo, big fella. I'm a big baby Zeus.
Yeah. And Cakes, come by and see us at the tailgate, man.
Yeah,
any of you guys, of course, come by and see us. We'll be doing some giveaways and things like that, and just want to interact with you guys any way that we can, and we're excited for it. So, we're excited to see you, Cakes, hopefully. And if you guys haven't checked out his YouTube channel,
you want some laughs? Go check it out.
Check it out. After you subscribe to our channel, then you can go hang out on Cakes' channel as well. No, but that's awesome. We're excited to see you there. But yeah, Brandon Stephens is the ultimate wild card to me.
What would you say? Because I was trying to think, what would be his ceiling? What would be would shock me? This year, what do you envision if he took off? What position do you? I don't even know what I envision it as. As a slot corner, as a safety?
That's what I was thinking, as a nickel guy. Yeah, because he's got some sort of coverage skills, right?
Oh yeah,
and he's not small in comparison to other. He I don't know how physical of a player he is playing corner, but he's not small.
He's put together though.
Yeah, he's right. Being a running back, he's obviously not afraid of physicality, and like you said, he's well built. So I wonder if they bring him in as an extra DB just because he's athletic to cover some guys, and put those skills to the test. It's really going to be interesting. He's the ultimate wild card to me. I don't really know what else to say other than that, but it was certainly the most puzzling pick. Not the most frustrating, but definitely the most puzzling, because I was frustrated by Odafe, but I get why they did it. I didn't understand the breed.
We didn't even know who he was until, we had to do some digging.
Some sites still had him listed as a running back.
Yeah, it was bad. It was and we were on, live, so it was no hiding our reaction, certainly. But maybe it's like Trendkiller says, and Don C agrees, that maybe this is just the Anthony Levine type, replacement. And, the Swiss Army knife that Anthony Levine is. We've seen him, at nickel, at linebacker, at safety. We see him bounce all around, and then also be the captain on special teams. So maybe that's his future role. And certainly look career Anthony Levine turned that into, sticking around all these years. So, hopefully.
But I think his ceiling is much higher than that.
Well, I'm sure he hopes it is, because, but look, it wouldn't. I think there's a lot of guys that would take Anthony Levine's career. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, he's got plenty of money in the bank, and he's tenured. He's
absolutely right. Yep, exactly. And he's also one of the fan favorites because he's been around so long that pretty much everyone knows his name. But moving on to the 4th round pick, number 131, Tylan Wallace. Tylan Wallace.
Right.
Wide receiver, I'm starting to think that we might see a bit of a James Prochet year out of Tylan Wallace. Maybe at the very peak, a Duvernay year from last year, minus the return game, which if you take away the return, I mean, again, showed out when he got the ball, but just didn't have the opportunity to really show much. That's my expectation. Tylenol is either somewhere between Duvernay and Prochet of last year, just because of the fact it's such a crowded room.
Yeah, man, it is really hard because there is such a crowded room. It's hard to project what he's going to be, what he's going to do statistically. But my expectations for Tylan Wallace are relatively high, in that, similar to Rashad, I think he's a really polished player. It's going to be really interesting to see what he can do in the NFL when the level of athleticism increases.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited about his potential. And, I'll say this. I think that Tylan Wallace might end up being the surprise this year. He may end up being the surprise of the rookie class and really make some waves. So, I think that my expectations might be a little higher than you. I think that he'll produce more than Devin Duvernay did last year from an offensive perspective. Not special teams, but certainly from an offensive perspective. I think we'll get more targets, more chances to catch the ball. I think he's already probably a better route runner right now than Duvernay. Not that he's better with the ball in his hands, but Duvernay has never been known, in college at least, he wasn't known for his route running.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna say Tylan Wallace has an exceptional year considering where he was drafted.
Okay. All right. I hope you're right. I just, the target shares,
Yeah, it's so tricky.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to certainly make the most of every ball thrown his way and bring it in. No opportunity for missed opportunity, I should say. So Shaun Wade, round 5 pick, Ohio State cornerback, had a spectacular career at Ohio State, kind of dipped off a little bit in his final year there, which is why the Ravens were able to get him at round number 5. But some are projecting that he could really, turn this thing around and play like the first or second round pick that he was expected to be in years previous. So what's your thoughts on Shaun Wade and another room that's awfully crowded, the corner room?
Yeah, you know what? I see this year as a red shirt for Shaun Wade. I think he gets on the field in special teams and does a lot in preseason. But weirdly, I'm optimistic about Tavon. I feel like he's going to make it through this year.
It's because you're a fan.
That this is the year that Tavon. Look, he's already torn everything. I mean? It's probably healthier than it's been since he was in high school. Derrick Rose tore his ACL, came back, and his vertical 18 months later was 4 inches higher.
Okay.
That's stupid. Now, Derrick Rose is a ridiculous athlete, right?
Yeah.
But I think that, I have a weird feeling about Tavon, and I think that will cause Shaun Wade not to get a ton of action.
Okay.
And so I see it as a red shirt year for him. Once again, making some like special team stuff, moves, but not too much on the field defensively. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would take some injuries, and I'm not, I don't know if the Tavon one's even enough, because I think if Tavon goes out, I mean, Marlon Humphrey, as much as we all know that, we love to see him on the outside, he grades out just as good on the inside as the outside. That's what makes him so great, is that he's fantastic in the nickel and on the outside. The guy's just great at both spots. So I think he would ultimately go inside before anyone else, and Averett would get a lot of time on the outside. I'm expecting him to make the team. But yeah, I mean, Shaun Wade's got a chance though, because he's done both, just like Marlon. He's played inside and outside. So if he can show that versatility at this level, now people said, he didn't do as well in one and the other. Okay, but he's got a lot of experience at both. And let's see if he can bring that, to the next level and turn it into some success, because that's how he gets on the field. You got to be able to do both if you're going to, get your way on the field for the Ravens. And unless there's, like I said, a bunch of injuries, versatility certainly helps. But he's another guy. Got to make it on special teams first and foremost before you can find your way on the defensive side. So still, excited about him, but he's got a long way to go. But I want to talk about round number 5 pick, Daelen Hayes, because Daelen Hayes is a guy I wasn't like overwhelmed by the pick. I wasn't like, oh man, we got a real steal here. But the more I've watched him, the more I've heard about him. I mean, I'm starting to get a little bit more excited at the potential that this guy could bring in helping the room. Now, I'm not saying this guy's going to go out and put up 8-10 sacks. No, I'm not crazy. But I like the fact that he can help in multiple different areas. He's not a one-trick pony. He's a guy that can do a little bit of everything. And I love his character. I think he's just a guy that wants to learn, wants to continue to get better. What are your expectations on Daelen Hayes going into his rookie year?
Yeah, I've been up and down about Daelen Hayes throughout the offseason. Of course, when we had our Notre Dame podcaster come on to talk about Daelen Hayes, he kind of put a damper on my expectations. I was hoping that he could turn into a Matt Judon type, but I think he lacks the athleticism. I could be wrong. Matt is a pretty freakish athlete, and is certainly was a raw athlete, and I think it took him a little bit of time to put it together. And that's why maybe he went as late as he did in the draft, but I don't know if Daelen is quite there. But I will say this, my expectations are that Daelen Hayes becomes a solid rotational piece for the Baltimore Ravens and, has a solid career, 9-10 years worth of a NFL career as a solid rotational player. I think, would it be crazy for me to say, I think that Odafe and him might have almost the same amount of sacks this year. I mean, in totally different ways. They're not the same player by any shape, form, or fashion. But Odafe obviously is not a sack artist, and Daelen Hayes just seems like a guy that doesn't quit. And so those are whether it's raw athleticism or Jimmy, stop it. Look, mark my word, Kate. Mark my words. All right.
Yeah.
I don't see them further than 2 sacks apart.
Well, that's a big. Okay. I guess a lot of people would still be surprised by that. I think Dave Nance put he makes a good point. He's mature. He is a very mature rookie. And when you mentioned earlier about the attention that Odafe is going to command from the opposing offensive coordinators, Daelen Hayes could benefit from that attention. Yeah. He could be a guy that they run stunts and twists, with those guys both together. And certainly, like you said, Odafe is going to get the attention because of his athleticism, and Daelen could find himself in advantageous positions, maybe taking on a running back that's trying to block him. Good luck there. He's a big guy. So I think he could get more than some are expecting, and I think he's going to get more clock than some are expecting because, look, there's only – we love Pernell McPhee, but you're not dropping him much in coverage, right? Like there's things that you want him to do, and there's things you don't want him to do. So I think he's just going to be, involved a lot in the defense more than a lot of people were expecting because of the fact there's not a lot of other bodies to ask for. You don't want to drop Jalen Ferguson. There's just guys you have that have kind of a niche role. It seems like for me, in my opinion. And I think that Daelen Hayes is a guy who has more of a versatile role.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% to where, like, that's a great point, Glenn, that he's one of the guys in the room that seems like he can do it all. He's a jack of all trades, master of none type guy. So that allows him to be on the field a lot.
Yeah.
So, the more you're on the field, the more opportunities you get. It's going to be really interesting to see what he develops into. But I'm hopeful. Overall, I'm hopeful for Daelen Hayes. I think he could round himself out into being a solid role player and a relatively productive one in the NFL. Now, I won't go as far as some people that are saying that he's going to outplay Odafe. I don't know how I feel about that.
You almost went there.
But I think they could be I think they could. They could be near each other in sacks.
Well, Britt House agrees with you. And she makes an interesting point in the fact
or is it a he?
I don't know. I see Britt. I think of Brittany, but if it is a he, correct me, and I apologize. But he or she makes the point that a lot of times when the Ravens draft 2 players at the same position, the player drafted afterwards tends to play better for whatever reason. I don't know if it could just be an interesting coincidence, but yeah. So it's a he. Okay, all right. Sorry, Britt. But yeah, I think that is a good point. A lot of times, we saw it with the tight ends. We saw it with a couple times with tight ends. We saw it multiple different times with Pitta and Dixon, and then with Mark and Hurst. So we have seen it, and that might just be the case. He's certainly a mature guy, a guy who's
great teammate, hard worker, just all motor guy.
as good as it gets. Yeah. So maybe he will show out a little more. But Ben Mason is the next guy on our discussion here. And Ben Mason's a guy who I still am not sure what the Ravens classify him as. I'm not sure what the plan is.
Let me give you an acronym, Glenn.
Okay.
You said it before. IR.
Is that what yeah. Yeah, he seems like the obvious choice.
The skin off the bottom of his feet is going to peel off again and just stay in his cleats, and they're going to have to put him in IR.
Yeah, I mean, he would make so much sense because right now he seems like a bit of a redundancy, or at least a guy who's kind of a mixture of multiple guys. Kind of I don't know. I can see his versatility being utilized by the Ravens. I just don't know if they have the roster space for a guy like him this year. Right?
We're deep so many other like we talked about it. Corner, we have guys that we want to keep. Even at safety, wide receiver, we're deep. Right? We could end up with 7, and it wouldn't be unreasonable for someone to make that case. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think he could be a perfect IR candidate. We already know he loves the weight room. Next year he'll come back bigger, stronger, faster than ever, and ready to tear it up. And one of these guys.
What if he does make the roster? Does he make the roster, and does he impact as a fullback, as a tight end? I mean, where is he making? I don't know where. I feel like I'm copping out,
but I feel like the only place where he's going to make a real contribution is special teams. I feel like I'm copping out here because I keep saying it.
But he's a mover of men. This is what this guy does. He moves guys that are bigger than him. He just does. They can't stop him.
I just don't think that he's better than Pat is right now at that. Because, I mean, Pat's been doing it. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler. He's bigger.
Mm-hmm. By a decent margin.
Yeah. So, man, if he makes an impact, I think it's more 2 ways. As a tight end in using his pass catching ability, in a way that is deceptive, right? Like Greg Roman's talked about deception a lot, but the other is we talked about before, goal line. Mm-hmm. I mean, could you imagine lining up with Lamar Jackson, Pat Ricard, and Ben Mason in the backfield?
That's scary.
That's not fun. I mean,
no. I think his versatility might be too hard if he shows enough of it in camp. It might be too hard to IR or stash him, however they decide. Because, man, you could put him as a tight end, and then if you lose Ricard, he's right there ready to go. If you lose Nick Boyle, boom, you got Ben Mason who can move bodies just like Nick Boyle, at least projected to be similar in that regard that Nick Boyle is. Oh, man, it's going to be fun to watch how they decide to use this guy. Nobody knew more about Ben Mason before this draft than the Ravens did with his his link to Michigan, him coming from Michigan and linked to the Harbaugh family. So I'm sure they have a plan for this guy. They didn't just draft him because he played at Michigan. They drafted him with a specific plan in mind. So let's just see if that plan is for this season or for next season. But he'll certainly.
Glenn, before I forget, this is what I wanted to mention. And Michael is one of our patrons, so it made me remember. We are a little late on our exclusive Patreon episode. But we will be doing it.
Blame it on your vacation.
Yeah, that was my bad, guys. Sorry, but certainly we'll be getting it to you shortly, and then we'll also be doing the episodes that you guys suggested that we do. If you're a patron, you have the opportunity to have voting rights and suggest 2 shows. So the ones that you guys sent to us, we will be doing. I just wanted to let you guys know we are a little behind, but we didn't forget about you guys. We appreciate your support. We love it all, and we will be getting to it. But. Without any further announcements, let's get back to the program here. Who's after Ben Mason? That wasn't our last pick, was it? That was our last pick. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. I wanted to get back into something. Me and Tony talked about it. You talked about it in your brief time on the show last week, but it's still circulating the news, and that is Lamar Jackson hanging out with some kids, doing what every athlete should do, and showing them a good time, playing on the asphalt, playing a little one-on-one DB versus wide receiver drills, throwing some passes, playing receiver, doing other things. And it's still popping up. A lot of criticism is being thrown his way. Even in our comments, they say, look, we love Lamar, but what if he got hurt, guys? What would you be saying if he rolled his ankle or broke an ankle? What would then be your opinion on it? Now, of course, he came out unscathed and unharmed. And so their claim is that, we would have been harder on him had he been injured, and we were just fortunate, and he was just fortunate to come out of it unharmed. So, Jimmy, what do you say? And I certainly have my opinion, but I'll give you the floor first. What do you say to those people that say, well, you would have had a different opinion about the situation had he gotten hurt?
I would say pound sand is what I would say. No, I don't think now if he would have been doing something that I consider to be dumb or overly reckless or inappropriate, sure, I agree with you 1,000%. Mm-hmm. But like you said, Glenn, Lamar Jackson was just doing what not only what every player should be doing, but what makes Lamar Jackson great. I think what makes Lamar Jackson great is that he just loves the game. He loves playing the game. He loves hanging out. It doesn't matter who it is. I've said it before. Lamar Jackson is Benny the Jet Rodriguez from Sandlot. He's the one that when the fireworks are going off and we're all watching, he's rounding the bases to go home, right? Like that's Lamar Jackson. Mm-hmm. So because he loves the game and it's apparent. Like I said, I said it before. If it were free, he'd still be playing every Sunday. And so I honestly can sit here today and honestly say that if he would have got hurt, I would have not had any different opinion. If he was doing something I considered, if he was speeding, who does this sound like? If he was riding a motorcycle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, riding a motorcycle in an inappropriate
fashion.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah.
If he were speeding in a car,
because I got a motorcycle, Jimbo, but I ride responsibly.
Right. But you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I do.
If he were doing something of that nature,
yeah,
he wasn't even playing basketball.
No, and he wasn't even playing
hard. His shoes weren't even tied, for goodness gracious.
No. The chances of him. So, yeah, I 100% agree. I think it's ridiculous. Look, if he would have gotten hurt, we would have been bummed out, that he got hurt. We would have been upset that he got hurt, but not of what he did to get hurt. We would just been bummed out that, look, if your quarterback gets hurt, especially if your quarterback's Lamar Jackson, your season's going to take a big change. It's a big turn that your season's going to take. As much as we love Tyler Huntley, it would be a big drop off, I think, in our expectations if Lamar were to get hurt. So we'd be disappointed. But man, those kids will never forget that. And the chances of him being hurt in that situation are so minimal in comparison to what he's about to go through in an NFL training camp and NFL season that it's like you said, Jimbo, he wasn't doing anything irresponsible or reckless. This wasn't a dangerous situation. He was playing with kids, and the kids even looked like they weren't, they were kind of making sure they didn't get a little bit too, aggressive or anything. It just seemed like a completely harmless and awesome situation. I hope he never changes that side of him, that happy-go-lucky, that, like you said, just loves balling. It doesn't matter who's playing. He sees somebody lining up. He wants to line up. He doesn't care if they're kids. He wants to play. He wants to have a good time. And those kids will never forget that. So, Lamar, if you see this, don't ever change. Stay being you. We'll support you. Even if the unfortunate were to happen, we would still be behind you. We would just be a little sad.
Yeah, no, look, Lamar actually tweeted something that I thought was interesting. He tweeted this the other day. And, Mom, if you're watching the show, pardon my French, but he said, a bee doesn't waste time explaining to a fly that honey is better than shit.
Did he put that up?
He tweeted that. Yeah. So that's exactly what it is. And you said it before, Glenn. They pick on him because he's an easy target. He's not going to fight back.
Yep.
He's not going to give him any oxygen to the fire. So yeah, I love Lamar Jackson for that. He is, quickly becoming one of my favorite Ravens of all time. And I'm, I don't know if he will ever silence the haters, and I don't get the difference. I don't understand the discrepancy in treatment, but yeah, what else can I say? The guy is just when you turn on social media, like you look at Lamar's stuff, it's the kind of stuff that you need.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because so much of it is geared to make you upset and put you in a grumpy mood. And man, if that didn't put a smile on your face, right. I imagine I didn't have any of those types of experiences with a pro athlete when I was a kid. The closest I got, I guess, was when I met J.O., and I remember how gigantic he was when they used to let you get really close at training camp back when they had it at, I think it was McDaniel College. I think it was. I can't really remember. I just remember seeing how big he was and how I was amazed that his helmet fit over his head because it didn't look like when he was holding his helmet. I was going, there's no way that's his helmet. He's holding someone else's helmet because that helmet can't get on that big old head of his. I mean, he had just a big, sure enough, right on top. But yeah, that's the closest I got. I couldn't imagine getting into it like that with a pro player. It'd be so cool.
What an awesome opportunity for those kids, right?
Yeah, and Cam Wee says, James, you're tripping. You forgot how good our D-line is, which will help take pressure off of Double O. Of course, he's referring to Odafe Oweh. Suggs had 13 sacks as a rookie, so it is possible, he says. Wow. Well, I mean, he did.
I'll keep on tripping down the street then, Cam.
I hate to be a stickler, but it was 12 sacks as a rookie. But, I mean, let's one number here. But I understand his point. It's certainly possible. What do you say back to that, Jimbo?
Yeah, I'll keep on tripping down the street. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I think we do have a solid D line in that, you know, you have Calais, you have Brandon, you got Derek Wolfe, you got Justin Metabike, but Suggsy was also, and I know people are going to tear me apart for this logic, but didn't Suggs have a sack record in college?
Oh, yeah, he had the career sack record when he graduated.
Right, and wasn't Joe Ortiz referencing a Hail Mary when he was talking about Odafe Oweh's sack over a year ago? That's a problem. That's a problem. Like, slice it any way you want.
You know, you're going to hear the Jalen Ferguson stuff in the comments.
I know, and I get it, but this is the other thing is I don't think he will be unproductive. I think he'll be a productive player this year. I think he will end strong, like I said. It's not like I think he's going to be a bust or anything like that, but I think labeling somebody, it's hard to put someone in the same camp as Terrell Suggs, one of the best to ever do it. One of the most physically gifted people to ever play the position. Terrell Suggs was a mammoth. He was huge. He was extremely athletic. Like, you could go on and on down the list. He was instinctual. So anyway, my only point in saying that is I still feel confident that he's not going to get 10. I don't think he'll be a bad player. I think his pressures will be high. I think he'll be good in the run game. And I think that he'll end strong. But I don't think he's polished enough. Terrell Suggs came out of college, at 20 years old? And he could have played. He's one of those guys that could have played in the NFL 2 years before after 1 year of college. You know what I mean? He's just that type of player. I don't think Odafe is that. I think he's a young football player that we've talked about. So I feel fine.
Okay. All right. I feel you. I mean, you know, it's crazy. The year he had the most tackles or second most tackles as a Raven, he only had 5 sacks, played in his full 16 games, and only had 5 sacks in 2007. So I just started looking at his stats here. It was kind of interesting. But Nick Glover says, why isn't Houston a Raven? And do you think we'll sign Gurley soon due to the Rams now needing a running back and he knows their system? I think there was some bad blood when he left, certainly between Gurley and McVay. When, you know, talking about his usage, I know he was upset. There was kind of a lot of mystery surrounding it. So I'm not so sure Gurley will go back to the Rams. And I wouldn't really even be disappointed if he didn't come here. It would be kind of like one of those cherries on top if he did come. I wouldn't be upset if he did, but also I'd be much more upset if ultimately Houston signs elsewhere than Gurley, because Gurley it's not a position of need right now. It would just be, a luxury to have a guy like Gurley, whereas Houston, I think, it's still a position of need. We talked about the lack of depth there and the lack of sack production that we see at that outside linebacker spot. So as far as why he isn't, I think it's any day now. I mean, I think he'll definitely sign before Tuesday on one of the teams. I think the arrest of Frank Clark certainly made things more interesting there when he's a former Kansas City Chief, had his best seasons as a Chief. And now they have a huge, huge need. And if they can void that contract, which it seems likely, since he had 2 arrests, I think, in this offseason with weapons in his car, including an Uzi, it's not looking good for Frank Clark in the future, coming up here. I don't know how he plays. So that makes things more interesting. But I'm not saying the Ravens are out of it. I think they still have a good shot. They're one of the few teams that can offer all the things I'm sure he's looking for: competitiveness, a young stud at quarterback, a talented and veteran coaching staff. ESPN just rated the Ravens as the best front office in all of football. So they got a lot going for them, but they just don't have the familiarity that the Kansas City Chiefs have. And also the Kansas City Chiefs can pretty much check all those boxes as well. We'll have to wait and see. But, man, I'm hopeful that they get him because oh, they need some help in that spot so it's not completely reliant on the first-round draft pick.
The first-round draft pick who is also kind of a project.
But yes. It's hard to disagree, yes.
I mean, I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, Cakes Mitchell says, if you had to choose one draft pick from this season to select a different player or position, who's getting the boot? Jimbo, what do you think with that one? That's an interesting one. I mean, I might need a little – we're going to go off the cuff here because we're going to answer it, but I may change that answer with a little more thought behind it. I mean –
I think immediately for me it goes to Odafe. I think at 31 there's so many –
Did it freeze? Okay. And it's not just me. Okay. I see you nodding, DK. Okay. Well, is he still frozen? Okay. He's still frozen. All right. Well, I'll give you mine. I mean, it would have to be Brandon Stevens because I didn't even know who the guy was before the Ravens took him. Now, I don't remember the headspace I was in and who I was hoping for. I mean, I could pull up the old video and
I'm back.
There he is. Okay.
Go ahead. Sorry. I was hearing you the whole time.
Okay, yeah, I was just hoping that – I mean, I don't remember who I would hope the Ravens would grab, but I know I wasn't expecting or even hoping for a corner at that spot. I mean, you're talking about a third-round pick, a guy who we're hoping contributes early, and I don't know how any corner taken after – I mean, really anywhere is going to be considered an instant contributor unless there was an injury. So even if we took a corner in the first round, I mean, I don't see a guy unseating Humphrey or Peters on the outside. You're talking about two top 10 corners in the league, and some are rating, or most are rating Humphrey to be 1 or 2 in the league, certainly in man coverage. And then Tavon Young, when healthy, I don't think there's any debate on his talent level at the nickel spot. So I was absolutely stunned as a third-round pick at corner. It was clearly, in my opinion, a look to the future and not a look to the present, which is fine. I think that's part of what makes the Ravens front office so great. But, man, I'm still not completely sold as to why, the Ravens decided to go with Stevens in the third round. But hopefully they prove me completely wrong and shock everyone, and he turns out to be an ultimate contributor and a quick contributor at that. But Jimbo, what were you saying? Yeah. Odafe, you were hoping it wasn't him.
Yeah, I mean, you saw my reaction. If you guys watched the live show, you saw my reaction. The reason, Case, to answer your question here, the reason I would select, I understand your point with Brandon Stevens, Glenn, but the reason I would select another, give the boot to Odafe and select another player is because at 31, there are so many good players still on the board. And so whether it's at that position or another position we could have grabbed, I really like Tevin Jenkins, of course. Now it's worked out with Alejandro Villanueva that we signed, but we don't know what that's going to look like yet. And it could have saved, it could have saved money, as far as cap hit goes. And, we could have maybe doubled up in the edge, take 2 vets as far as, edge pass.
Well, right now they haven't gotten any.
That's what I'm saying, right? But now we're hopeful for 1, where before we might have, been in line to get 2. So, I would go with Oweh. I hope I'm wrong 100%, just like you said about Brandon. But that would be my answer to his question.
Okay, yeah. Well, Nick Glover says, I hope he signs elsewhere so JK can eat. So he doesn't want Todd Gurley.
Yeah, and I don't think that under any circumstances, even if Gurley was here, he would disrupt JK and his touches in that. I think anytime that Gurley would be in the game would be moments where JK is going to be out anyway because he's getting some rest or whatever. Like I don't.
Then he has to be eating into Gus's. He's eating into somebody's.
Yeah, Justice Hill.
I think both. Well, Justice Hill certainly. I mean, I don't even know how he would make the team. I mean, I guess
his minuscule slice of pie.
Yeah, it would be then removed and given to Todd Gurley. But I think he definitely would eat into JK's carries. I don't think he wouldn't ever unseat him or Gus. He would certainly be the third guy. But I mean, he's a guy that
I don't think they would feel obligated to use him though, just because he's Todd Gurley. You know what I mean? Maybe not.
No, maybe not because he's Todd Gurley, but he might prove himself. I mean, this guy is a guy that's shown he can do it all. He can run the ball between the tackles. Right. He can.
So that's the thing is, if he proves it, then I don't care who's back there. I don't care what their name is. I want the ball going to the best guy. So if he shows it, he deserves the carries.
Well, he's certainly not going to be making the money like he was with the Rams, where he almost forced his way on the field because of his contract.
Exactly.
So yeah, he wouldn't be getting. There wouldn't be that kind of pressure behind him. I think. But there's no doubt he would take some. I mean, what degree? Who knows? But he would take some of JK's work if he's healthy. If if he's still.
How crazy would that be for him to go back to the Rams with Cam Akers going down?
Absolutely hilarious. I don't see it because I think there was bad blood. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But,
well, they didn't pay him. It was the owners. Remember, they were not wanting to pay him and Clay Matthews.
Ah, okay, yeah. So I don't see him all of a sudden showing back up in the time of need for them. And they can tell me all they want. They're not signing another running back. They're looking for someone. There's just no doubt about it.
And let me say this, too, about the Odafe at 31. I was kind of hoping we would trade out and pick up a pick.
Yeah, that's another good point. Yeah.
There's always.
But you agree that was certainly our biggest position of need, right? So they had to address it. So if you didn't want them to take Oweh, then they would have had to address it in another edge guy. I saw, let's see, Tough Puppy says Joe Tryon. I remember Joe Tryon was another guy that was, I think I even took him in one of our mocks, I think with DraftPlex. But it would have had to have been somebody in the. Imagine if we take Oweh out of the picture and look at the edge group then. Whoo! It's a real rough picture then.
But then Justin Houston might be here.
Oh, I don't think Oweh's stopping him.
Well, I mean, the Ravens might be a little more desperate and shell out a little bit more cash.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Right. I see your point. Yeah, that's possible.
I don't know. I just feel like at 31, there were so many good prospects on the board, and it was so disappointing to get a guy that did very little the year before.
Yeah. But now we like, Tevin Jenkins, but you've really fallen, and I have as well with Alejandro.
Yes.
Are you happy how the right tackle position
I'm happy
ironed out?
Right. I'm extremely happy how that worked out. I've said it before. I want my children to be like Alejandro Villanueva when they grow up. Mm-hmm. And I think he's an incredible person. But not only that, I mean, he's a team player, team first guy. Leave it all out on the field. He's been doing so from his time in the Army as a Ranger. I'm excited for him to kind of have a resurgence in his career if that's what he wants. Who knows? He might just want to play this year, next year, and call it quits. But
he's gonna have fun. I mean, just ask Marshall.
Yeah,
I think he went off in the sunset because he said that's about the funnest year you could have had. And I don't want to. I don't know if I can trump that with another year. So yeah, I think he's gonna have a good time. I'm excited about what they did with the right tackle spot. I'm excited the challenge that he's got ahead of him. I think he's gonna take that challenge head on.
This is really random, but we're talking about the Steelers here. I just want to sidebar for a second. You're really high on Najee Harris, right?
I like him.
Najee Harris.
I don't like him anymore, but yeah.
What's your take on their O-line, though? Have they done it? Is there something that I'm missing? Like, have they done anything? All I've seen them do is, Alejandro's gone, DeCastro's gone, and Pouncey retired. So, like, what have they done?
They did bring in the former Chargers, Trey Turner, I think his name was. Was that his name? Let's see.
The center?
No, guard.
Okay.
I think it was Turner. Yeah, Trey. I think Trai.
Weren't they like a terrible O-line last year?
Yeah, they were bad. Well, yeah, but that a lot of it not their game plan. I mean, they came in with this idea that they could just throw it faster than anyone else and abandon a run game. And
I'm talking about the Chargers. The Chargers?
Well, he was hurt. Trey Turner was banged up.
Yeah, I don't know anything about him.
But he's a 27-year-old. He went to 5 straight Pro Bowls from 2015 to 2019. So they didn't. It's not the cupboard isn't quite that bare, but. And he was a starter, but he missed 7 games in 2020 with an injury, and that's what kind of led to the Chargers deciding to go elsewhere, and they ultimately beefed up that O-line to protect Herbert. But so they got. I just don't want to. I'm nervous about counting them out. I agree. I look at their line and I go, I don't know how they're going to protect Big Ben and how they're going to open up lanes for Najee, but at the same time, man. They always find a way to be competitive. I mean, even with Duck freaking Hodges, we couldn't have the Steelers have a losing record. So
did we split with them that year?
I think so. Yeah, but I think did Lamar play in the first one as well? I think I'm not sure if he played in the first one. I think that was under Joe Flacco category there. But
no, you're talking about 2019 was when they had Duck Hodges. We had Lamar the whole year.
Was that 19? I thought that was 18 that they had Ducky.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it was 19.
Okay.
But either way.
They'll correct us.
Yeah.
But Cakes Mitchell says you can choose
Can we
any
just get a
former
section
Raven.
that's called Questions with Cakes?
Yeah, they're good questions.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, that's fine. You can choose any former Raven to join the team in their prime for just this year. Now, that's a good one, Cakes. I appreciate that one. Man, if I had to, I mean, it'd be hard to not pick up Terrell Suggs. I mean, we're talking about an edge position.
Ooh.
You bring a prime Sizz back into this build. Talk about what he would bring from an emotional, from a leadership standpoint. This guy he's an absolute gem of a leader. I mean, this guy brings it at every practice, has the energy high. Obviously played with the old guard and can bring that, that leadership. So yeah, it would be Suggs for sure for me. And that's hard because, I mean, I love me some Ed Reed. I mean, you look around my basement, I got Ed Reed. I got Ray Lewis hanging on the wall, the jerseys. I got them all. So it'd be hard, but I'd have to go with Suggs because of how this team is built.
Yeah, that's a great point. Immediately, I was going to say Ed Reed. For some reason, my mind went immediately to J.O., actually. But then I was like, well, we got Ronnie. So that's like, it's not that but J.O., obviously, just arguably the best to ever play his position. But I like what you're saying as far as the need and obviously the incredible fit, right? Man, Terrell Suggs in here in his prime, pre-Achilles tear. Yeah, that would be a scary proposition and a great.
How about an offensive guy? If you had to pick one on offense, I mean, the offensive line looks good. I think tight ends, they look pretty good, but man, we got some good tight ends in the history of the Ravens. You had a Todd Heap, a Shannon Sharp. I mean, but at the same time, I look around.
Can I give you mine?
Yeah, let me hear it.
I might surprise you with this one, but I think he would steady the ship. I'm going to go with Derek Mason.
Oh, okay.
And I think Derek Mason doesn't ever get the love I think he deserves.
No.
But the thing about Derek that would be really good in this room is that he's a consistent contributor, right? Like high level contributor, and a productive player that would steady the ship. When Lamar needs a guy to go get a catch, he's like the Carmelo Anthony of the Ravens in that, like, you need a bucket. Look, Carmelo can get a bucket till he's 50. Can he do very much else? Maybe not, but Carmelo can get you 2 points, right? Like Derek Mason can get open, work the sideline. I think he did wonders for Joe at the beginning of his career. And I think that he would do a lot to steady the ship in our wide receiver room. So weirdly enough, I would go Derek Mason, even though we're deep there right now, because like you said, we don't like Jamal Lewis would be incredible, but I mean, we already got some good backs.
Got some good backs, no doubt about it. I wonder if anyone, if we threw I'm trying to think of like if we brought back Marshall Yanda, I mean, you're talking about, then you don't have to worry about Ben Cleveland very much. You could have, Zeitler and there's a lot of different options, but if I had to pick one, it would definitely be Suggs. Nick Glover says Barmore at 31 could have been the perfect replacement for Big Baby after this year, but I'm rooting for Oweh. I think 4 to 7 sacks. Metabike is slept on, though. We have a crazy pass rush in the future. Well, I hope you're right about that last statement. I think they certainly have some guys that could grow into some really talented pass rushers. Have to still see it get done, though. And Barmore is a guy we were always having in our mock drafts, and always a guy that we said, could they pass on Barmore here? Could they pass? And I think in a couple we said they couldn't, and we picked him. What would you have thought if they?
No, go ahead.
No, what would you have thought if they would have grabbed Barmore?
I would have loved it. That would have been a typical Ravens pick, right? Like if you would have asked me if they passed on him twice in the first round, I'd have said no way, because that is a typical Ravens pickup, right? Build from the inside out. John Harbaugh said, I think his first year here, we're going to run the ball and stop the run. That's what the Ravens do. And so, if you go back, we talk about the lineage of tight ends. Look at the lineage of interior defensive linemen. Yeah. That we've had here. Goose, ridiculous. Duck, Nada, Adams, Brandon Williams, the list goes on. And so certainly I would have liked that pick. In fact, that's a great point, Nick. I would have taken Barmore over Odafe, even though the position is different. I think Barmore is going to be quite the player.
Yeah, he could absolutely be. And I think you're right. It would have been a classic Ravens pick. It helps that he played at Alabama. That's certainly that link is always one that the Ravens seem to get up for. But yeah, I'm happy with who they got now. But yeah, I was a little. It was a real stunner when they grab a guy with no sacks. But Tough Puppy doesn't like Barmore. He says he's not the best at his position at that point. 31. Okay, all right. Well, that remains to be seen. Definitely not feeling Barmore. Okay, all right. Well, look, could be right, could be wrong. We'll have to wait and see how it turns out. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. But Troy says if Oweh balls out, people are gonna drag Jimmy through the mud. I hope
that's okay.
I hope you are right, Troy.
I want to be. Look, I'm ready to be drugged through the mud, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Like what else am I to say? Like I want that to be the case because. Yeah, I would be super happy if he started strong and ended strong. The kid needs some time, man. He needs some time. He's a young player. And look, a perfect example. I'm sure you guys are watching the finals. Giannis and Antetokounmpo. Look at his video when he got drafted. He was he looked like a stick fit. He looked 2D. Right? Like he looked like a stick figure. His suit was falling off of him. He had no shoulders. And then, but look at what he's turned himself into. He was a young basketball player. One of the reporters said when LeBron James was in his first finals, Giannis hadn't even started playing basketball yet.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
It's insane, right? So like what I'm trying to say is that I think the way Odafe is not the way that he will be. So my expectations later on will be much higher. I think he has all the physical tools. It's up to him to put it together.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, speaking of Giannis, I'm becoming the biggest Giannis fan. I love it the way he plays. I love his fearlessness. I love that they can count him into an air ball at the free throw line and he'll go right back to the line the very next trip down fearlessly. His interactions off the court are just, heartwarming to see his interactions with young fans. To see the humbleness he comes, when they asked him about his time in the bubble, and he was like, "You think I'm going to complain about the resort that I'm at right now? You know where I came from, the house I grew up in with my brother.
The stateless wonder.
Yeah, like you think I'm going to complain about the bubble and how we're treated here like kings? No, you ain't going to get it from me. He's just one of those athletes that's just. He's similar to Lamar, man, and the humble superstar that he is. I'm rooting for him. Look, I'm rooting for guys on both sides of this matchup, but I think the more I see of Giannis, the more I become a big fan. But look, this isn't a basketball show. Yeah. I understand.
But the comparison, you understand what I'm saying, right?
Absolutely. No, I see it. And he's got to grow into his body. He's got to mature as a player. He's got to get better. That if he makes the same leaps that Giannis has made in his career, this guy – He had the Ben Simmons type of stroke when he came in. Like, you didn't want him shooting. And now it's almost like even if he does, it doesn't matter if he throws it up an air ball. He'll keep shooting. I love the fearlessness he plays with. I'm a big Giannis guy. But, yeah, we need to see that same type of game progression, physical progression from Odafe. But, look, it could – I'm trying to look at Giannis's stats, but it's hard to spell his name properly. So, well,
let me just say this. He's put on 70 pounds since he's entered the NBA.
And it's
70 pounds.
Yeah. And he's still a thin guy. It's crazy. The guy is just a freak in all the best ways. Let me see here. So he only averages 6 points as a rookie. Doubled that to 12 in his second year, then 16, 22, 26, 27, 29, and 28. So certainly you can see the progression there, and I hope but he could have the Terrell Suggs year. I don't think it's impossible to see him get there, but we'll have to wait and see what Odafe turns himself into. But I do think when I heard Wink say, he has a lot of respect for their outside linebacker coach, says he's the best assistant in the game, and of course they all say this and stuff like, but it was the single greatest in-person workout that he's ever seen, that assistant. I'm blanking on his name right now, but the single greatest in-person workout he's ever seen in football was Odafe Oweh. Let's see. Cakes Mitchell says, since you all started the show, what is each other's worst take that they stand by? Well, most people say this is a horrible take by me, that I think Bill Belichick is the most overrated coach in history. I think that this guy has ridden the coattails of the GOAT, Tom Brady, and for far too long. And I just hope that old bag of bones hangs around long enough that we can see him truly exposed for the fraud that he is. And the fact, I mean, look, is there any more proof that Tom was the GOAT than the fact that he jumped ship and the first year in his new team, he leads them to a Super Bowl?
All right, look, but
he's the favorite to do it again this year,
Let me
Jimbo.
tell you this, Glenn. Let me tell you this: the conspicuousness of the
look,
timing.
I got him fired up. You're not even answering Cake's. Go ahead.
I'm going to, but the conspicuousness of the timing of the MCL report and how woe is me.
Hold on, we didn't hear any whining from him all year.
No,
this isn't
not all
Big
year.
Ben.
But what I'm saying now is that next year, I don't want to hear the knee is lingering. Oh my God,
the guy's 80 years old.
Right, but if you're going to say it, if you're going to make it public, don't whine about it or don't say anything about it is all I'm saying. I don't want to see
He's not going to say anything about it. There's a reason it was concealed all year, Jimbo.
Well, when I say him,
he didn't whine about it.
When I say him, I mean, look, it only got out because Tom let it get out. Whether it's him or his representation or someone else.
I'm not so sure about that. Maybe what's his doctor? What's his doctor's
his
name?
Buddy that's not actually a doctor?
Yeah, that guy. Maybe that guy leaked it. But Tom doesn't whine. Tom doesn't complain, okay?
Oh, wait a second, Glenn.
All right, he does on the field a little bit. He does on the field a little bit. But we don't hear the whining like Big Ben.
We literally heard him.
My knees hurt. My ankles hurt. My nose is broke. That's Big Ben. This ain't Tom we're talking.
All I'm saying is that if they lose next year, I don't want to hear that the knee was bothering him. This is all I'm saying. Because that means that we'll see. We'll see. Because I got a feeling that if they don't win,
on the injury report all year.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, no,
if he wanted to build an excuse in, he would have been like, Coach, why ain't I on the injury report with this sprained MCL I got that could explain those 3 interceptions I just threw?
No, you're right. All I'm saying is that
this is what Cakes. Is that good? Is that good? Is that a good?
So I'm trying to understand the question though.
Well, that's what people consider. I think my worst take. People usually argue with me. They say I'm crazy, but all I know is Bill Belichick hasn't won a single thing of significance without Tom Brady under center. Not one single thing of significance as a head coach without Tom Brady under center. Not one.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. It's going to be interesting to see what they do this year, but at the end of the day, I don't want to hear any more MCL reports.
Okay. Again,
I don't want to hear it.
It didn't even come from him.
If they lose, I don't want to hear it.
If they lose, what if they don't?
It's a built-in excuse.
What if they win? What if they win the Super Bowl again?
Excuse, though. It's just an insurance policy. If they lose, he has now a built-in excuse to say, but my knee.
But what if he wins?
I mean, then what can I say? I got to put a foot in my mouth, right? I have nothing to say. But I think the chances of them doing it again with an aging roster starting at quarterback are relatively slim. I think it's hard to repeat anyway.
Here we go.
No, I mean, like, historically speaking,
he's going to do it again. If the Ravens don't beat him, he's going to do it again. But the question is, will Bill Belichick do anything this year?
All right, hey, here, can I tell you this? This might be my worst take.
Oh, here we go. He's not beating the Bills out for the division. There's just no chance.
No. But I will tell you this right now. I don't care what happens this season. When Brady shows up in Gillette, because he's coming to Gillette this year, Bill Belichick is going to take him to school. Mark my words.
Stop it.
Mark my words. Mark my words. Look, everyone's talking about McVay, this, that, and the other. What did McVay do in the Super Bowl? Nothing. Look, when Bill cares enough, that's the thing. You got to get Bill to care.
He didn't care last year?
No, of course, but he was working with a skeleton crew. He had 9 people on.
Who's the GM? Who buys the groceries in New England?
Right, and then he told them all to sit out a year.
Bill Belichick buys the groceries. You can't complain about the talent when he buys the groceries.
You're right, but what I'm saying is that he told them to sit. Take your COVID, take your year. We'll come back in a year.
He didn't tell him that. No days off ain't telling nobody to take a year off.
Mr. Strategy's always looking for a way.
Oh,
he's always looking for a way. But let me give you my bad take.
Okay. Well, that was a good one.
That was good.
Eat that, Jimbo.
We weren't on YouTube yet, but you gave me a lot of flack when I said 2 years ago the Bills were going 8-8 at best. The Browns.
Yeah, but that's a take that's not bad. That nobody considers that bad now.
No, not. But I mean, you were grilling me pretty hard for that one.
Well, yeah, okay.
But what? I mean, I'm trying to think of what else qualifies as something I still stand by that people consider to be a bad take.
Well, I mean, you were pretty hard on Pat Mahomes for a while, but I think you've come around to realize that at least, it's hard to deny, his play on the field and all that stuff. But do we consider your Baker Mayfield take, well, as strong as it is in the fact that he's absolute garbage, do we consider that a bad take?
Yeah, I guess that's fair. I mean, I think the guy is you want to talk about a skeleton crew? He is the anchor to that ship. Like, what else
holds
can you
them down?
Yeah, their rosters, they would be better with Case Keenum.
Oh, man, he's on the roster. He can't beat him.
I know.
Out.
And Case Keenum took what? The Vikings to an NFC championship?
And then he got replaced by
Kirk
and
then he got replaced by Baker Mayfield reincarnated.
2.0, yeah. Or
you know what I mean? So, yeah, the original Baker Mayfield. So,
yes.
Yeah, I think that's a fair one. I mean, I will stand in front of anyone and say Baker Mayfield is a wannabe Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins.
Is he Blake Bortles?
He's better than Blake Bortles. But,
okay.
But Kirk Cousins, look, I'm already getting mixed up. Baker Mayfield is below average.
Okay, all right. Lisa Ann said, when's the last time Bill has been to the grocery store? That's a good point. I don't think he
just comes home with nothing.
Just comes
He's
home.
Like,
He strikes me as the guy that eats peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for dinner. Like, he doesn't even care. Day. Yeah, he just doesn't care. It's just nutrients. It's just like, just get it in. I don't even care. It takes no joy in eating. Just like, back to football. Back to constructing this 8-8 team that I'm about to build now that the Golden Boy is gone.
We'll see.
Bra says your Oweh takes are the worst takes.
Guys, I don't think Oweh's going to be a bust. I just don't think he's going to have double-digit sacks. Matt Judon never had double-digit sacks as a Raven.
It's true. And he just got paid.
Come on. That doesn't mean that he's a bad player.
Who paid him all that damn money?
Who
paid a guy who's never had double-digit sacks all that damn money?
One of the best defensive minds in football. That you can't say that he's not, Glenn. You can't. You just can't.
That defensive mind has won him nothing without Brady under center.
Oh, jeez.
That's right. Billy Seal says he eats hot dogs, no bun.
He doesn't even heat them up. They're the pre-cooked ones. And he just... Let me tell you what, Bill. I don't eat hot dogs. Well, before not eating animal products, I didn't eat hot dogs after first grade because I went all out on a hot dog eating contest. I beat fifth graders, won a hot dog eating contest, ate 9 of them suckers at 38 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen,
and never ate a hot dog again in your life.
Grew up everywhere and never ate a hot dog again.
Wow. Man, you tapped out. So you retired as the champ is what I heard.
That's right.
And hey, what's it, Joey Chestnut? You don't know what you lucked at. You missed out on a beatdown from the Rascal at Nathan's. Right. Because 73 hot dogs in 10 minutes, that wouldn't have been enough had James Haskell, the Rascal, trained for this his entire life. You'd have been in big trouble.
Dude, I don't even think I was 38 pounds. I'm probably exaggerating, to be honest. Like, dude, I'll never forget that day. Never forget it. But I won. The joy of winning.
Yeah. You don't forget those big wins, okay? That's right. That's a big win. 9 hot dogs.
Bun and all, dude. Bun and all.
Man, that's a long. Jimbo graduated from Hurl University, says living legend. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Absolutely. That's why I didn't eat Crunch Bars for the longest time because I got sick. And Crunch Bars in your nose cavity is not something that makes you want to eat them again.
The little rice things in there. What are they called?
Oh yeah, the little crunchies. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were stuck in in that channel there. It was. I said I don't ever want to eat. Hot dogs again. 410 Chris says you look like you're 38 pounds now.
Hey,
Jimbo, you're lucky he don't show you the LL because Jimbo got the LL.
Glenn, I've tried this experiment since my wife has been pregnant where when she wants something bad, I'll buy it. She'll eat a little bit of it and then I'll eat all the rest of it. And I'm trying not to gain any weight while I do that. And the stress of the new job is not doing me too good right now.
You're getting a little, yeah, dad bod.
I'm not excited about it. I'm gonna have to start waking up earlier. Not excited about it, but I just noticed it the other day and I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah, well, welcome to my world. Actually, not even there yet because you got a long way to go to catch up to Big Daddy over here.
I don't even know how we got here, but
no, I don't either.
My take though, Glenn, you're right. That's a good one. And I'll stand in front of Congress and testify, hand on the Bible. Baker Mayfield is the reason the Browns aren't better. Period.
Okay. All right. Well, it is a lot on his shoulders this year. He's pretty much everyone is saying they have the best roster, best offensive line, best running back room. You know, they have the NFL, the coach of the year. They have the front office of the year reigning right now. Everything around him screams success. So if they don't ultimately win the North and he's fully healthy all year, then a lot of it's going to be on his shoulders, no doubt about it. But DK, we're nearing the end of the show. We need to hear from you.
Give us your quick take here, DK.
They were missing you last week, just like they missed Jimbo.
Yeah, right. It's been a minute. It's good to see you guys.
Yes, you as well. I keep seeing you enjoying your best life on social media.
I'm doing me for the time being. So enjoying life, not a bad thing. Not a bad thing.
All right, DK, what I want you to do is answer this question on the spot. I know what Glenn's is already.
Oh, yeah,
I want to know what yours is.
All right. So Cakes Mitchell, what was a hot take you had in years past that turned out to be true? Oh man. Oof.
Well, if you need some time, I don't mean to toot, but I did predict that Lamar Jackson would win MVP before the 2019 season. I mean, Jimmy can attest to it. This was in our podcasting days.
Yeah, go find it in the basement on iTunes or Spotify.
That's right. I told everyone he was winning it long before the season started, and to give Jimmy credit, as he mentioned earlier, he did predict that the Browns would not be above 500 in the first year that everyone was singing the praises of the Browns.
Odell, and who was the other? Who's his buddy? Juice and yeah, I mean
Landry. Yeah, they had, and it was Baker's first year, and they all said how great they were going to be, and Jimbo wasn't buying it, and I told him he was crazy.
This is all it took for me. I watched very little of Baker in college. I watched one video of Baker Mayfield, said it all to me. He got destroyed by the cops.
Oh, he did. That was pretty pathetic.
And he sounded like a 5-year-old girl. No offense to 5-year-old girls, but when you're a grown man, you shouldn't sound like one.
Okay. All right.
That's all it took for me. I knew this guy was not what he's cracked up to be. Sorry, Baker.
I was a little disappointed that he got tackled immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. But I'm happy because we don't condone
they tried to scoop up Lamar like that.
No chance. you better pack a lunch. It's gonna be a long day.
All right, DK. Sorry, we're robbing the spotlight here.
Man, I don't know that I have a really good one. Although I will say, I mean, I didn't really have a platform to share all this stuff, but I do remember, being really high about Zachary Orr when he came out. Everyone was talking about. I guess at the time it was playing alongside C.J. Mosley. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being excited about Zach Orr stepping in, undrafted free agent, and nobody noticed him. But I'm like, this guy's going to be a player, and he's going to be playing playing next to somebody who's already a rising star. But anyone who's a Ravens fan might be able to see it, but I thought he was going to be great, but man, he's one of those guys. I really, really wish that his career wasn't cut, short. That would have been great to see, him develop and be a solid kind of staple on that Ravens defense.
Oh, the dude was a tackling machine. What do you have, like 140 tackles or something crazy?
Insane. It was nuts.
Yeah, absolutely awesome year. I think he's on the staff now, so
he's down in Jacksonville.
Oh, that's right. He just left. This is his first year.
Abandoned ship.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Good for him. Moving on to a bigger and better position, I'm sure, with Jacksonville. But yeah, that's it. That's it for us this week. I know DK put out a few recent articles, and I think you have some news.
Can I gloat
Do
a
it?
little bit?
Yeah,
so hopefully you guys have thanks to everyone who've been reading the Patreon article. So I just put one out last week about Lamar, and I know you guys touched on it a little earlier. And just to highlight, for 2 seconds, this whole idea of criticism against Lamar on stuff about, him playing with kids, but nobody criticizes anyone who gets hurt trying to get better, right? I mean, if they're on the practice field, it's an accident, so it's not a big, not that it's not a big deal, but it's not that player's fault, for, potentially maybe trying too hard, doing something, you can never really tell from a story about why they got hurt or how they got hurt on the practice field. But in this case, I talked a little bit about this in the article, but in many ways, Lamar is getting better in the off season with things like this in terms of building his brand and becoming a better all around character. Mm-hmm. And I think that has value, and I stated this in the article too. So I want everyone to go back and read it. But when he builds his brand, right, that brings money to the Ravens. The Lamar becomes a more attractive character. He's a more likable guy. His jerseys sell even more. And the fact that he doesn't have an agent also is an interesting part of it because he can't really defend himself. But I think that actually accelerates the media cycle that attracts attention. So more people write about him because he's an easier target. So there's some interesting dynamics that go specifically with Lamar that I think if you look at it the right way, it's actually be a positive spin for him in his career.
Nice. Well said, DK, as always. I want to give a couple shout outs before we go. Yeah, check out that article, guys.
Let me say this real quick, Glenn, because my mom, DK, this was the first time that she read one of your articles and was floored. She was really impressed with your skills, with your breakdown, and agreed with you 100% that with the sentiments you gave in the article and really liked it. So I tell you what, man, we are grateful to have DK around. Make sure it's $1 a month to get access to the articles. Make sure you guys go check it out. Just find us on Patreon where or in the links to any of our recorded shows. You can see it there. Sorry, I just wanted to give a shout out.
I 100% agree. Absolutely grateful to have DK writing on the Patreon. You guys check it out. Dave Nance, appreciate you commenting and showing the love. Living legend. Nana Rave, as always, showing out. Appreciate you coming out. Lisa Ann, happy belated birthday. Appreciate you coming out. Jonathan Bunting, thanks for the kind words. This is our favorite place, too, to talk some Ravens talk.
That's right. Don C, always, man.
Yeah, always hyping the like button, showing us the love. Billy Seals, as always, he's in here. He's loving the smoke you're bringing, Jimbo. He's loving the Cakes Mitchell all night. Appreciate you showing out with us and showing the support. Prince Quan, thanks again. Dalton Caps, appreciate you. Robert Pittman. Anyone else I missed, I do apologize. Thank you for your support. Anyone else who watched and didn't comment, thank you as well. And we will be back soon.
Yeah, have a great night. See you.
See you.